My rival, Kyle Thompson, orchestrated a plan to get me hooked on esports, hoping I'd flunk out of school. Then, at the championship tournament, he sent his childhood friend, the most popular girl in school, to make a public confession to me. "Caleb, will you be my boyfriend?" she'd asked. "Stop playing games. Let's study for our SATs together." I knew it was a setup, but I played the part of the fool. For her, I tore up a $300,000 a year pro contract, quit my training, and became a whipped, love-struck idiot. The day our college acceptance letters came out, she sent the breakup text right on schedule. "Let's break up? You're a loser with no money and no future. You're not good enough for me." What they didn't expect was that I was holding a new pro gamer contract in my left hand and an acceptance letter to Yale in my right. "Sure thing," I texted back. "Don't let the door hit you on the way out." I got Hannah Miller's breakup text just after I'd checked my final scores. This time, I hadn't intentionally left the last few sections blank like I used to. I'd given it everything I had, meticulously answering every single question. A perfect 1600 plus a 4.0 GPA, enough to be the state's top student. "So how'd you do?" The man asking was Rick, the head of SYNX Gaming. I just smiled. About what I expected. Normal performance. He nodded, getting back to business. "A year ago, I wanted to sign you. You told me you wanted to focus on school and get into a good college. I hope you didn't waste your time. You know, a pro gamer's golden years are fleeting." He kept rambling. "Then again, it's crazy. You stopped playing for a year, but your skills haven't just not rusted. They're sharper, more mature. You've been practicing in secret?" I gave a dry laugh. "No, I guess. My mindset is just better now." "All right, kid. Well, I'm happy to inform you that you passed the SYNX tryouts. We'd like to officially invite you to become a professional player for our club. Base salary, $1 million a year. Bonuses for good performance. Are you satisfied with those terms?" For once, Rick sounded completely serious. Without a moment's hesitation, I signed my name on the contract. My phone, however, wouldn't stop buzzing. I read through the texts. "Caleb, let's break up. I did pretty well on my SATs. I should get into a good state school. We're just in different leagues now." "What's up? Family emergency?" Rick asked after the contract was signed. "No," I said. "It's my girlfriend. She wants to break up with me." He clapped me on the shoulder, acting like a seasoned veteran of love. "Is that all? Dude, just dump her and find a new one." Following the location tracker on my phone, I went to find Hannah at a local gaming cafe. I heard their voices from the private booth before I even opened the door. "Hannah, graduation is over. When are you going to break up with Caleb?" It was Kyle. Hannah's voice was nonchalant. The deal was to wait until the college letters came out. So, it was just as I suspected. Kyle had used Hannah's phone to send those breakup texts. "You didn't actually catch feelings for him, did you? Don't forget, you're going to a top-tier university." I saw Caleb's midterm grades. He barely pulled a C average. He'll be lucky to get into community college. Kyle's voice was dripping with venom. "I know," Hannah said, annoyed. "But you forget, before he got into gaming, Caleb was a top 10 student. What if he pulled off a miracle?" Kyle's contempt was palpable. "So what? Ever since he touched that game, it's like he was possessed. His grades went straight down the toilet. Besides," he added, "even if he did, all you'd have to do is say you're in a guise to go to trade school, and he'd probably crawl on his knees to fill out the application." Hannah didn't say anything. Kyle, apparently reassured by his own logic, let out a laugh. I heard the loud sound of a kiss. "Kyle, what are you doing?" Hannah sounded angry. He just kept going. "Hannah, it must have been so hard for you, having to put up with that loser for over a year. Once I land my pro contract, I'll buy you anything you want." Hannah was silent again. After a moment, she finally spoke. "Kyle, if Caleb finds out about all this, do you think he'll hate us forever?" Kyle lit a cigarette, his voice laced with disdain. "Do you think? Isn't it obvious?" He then grabbed her face, his tone turning icy. "What? You actually fell for him? You're afraid he'll hate you?" Hannah's voice trembled. "Kyle, you're hurting me." Then her voice softened. "You know I love you. I only love you." She had never, ever spoken to me with that kind of tenderness. I pulled out my phone and deleted the breakup text from Hannah. Then I found Kyle's contact and sent him a picture. In the photo, Hannah was fully clothed, but she was lying on my bed with her eyes closed. A few seconds later, Kyle's enraged voice erupted from booth, followed by the sharp crack of slap. "You slut. You slept with him." Hannah, stunned by the sudden turn of events, stammered, "No, I didn't." Listening to the commotion, I thought, a guy who hits a woman, what a piece of work. Not that she was much better. There was no point in eavesdropping anymore. I turned and walked away. Kyle was wrong about one thing. I didn't hate them. Not at all. If it wasn't for Kyle Thompson and his elaborate schemes, how could a normal high school kid like me, from a background like mine, have ever gotten into the world of esports? Let alone date the most beautiful girl in school, pro gaming, Yale, and Hannah Miller. Kyle had handed them all to me on a silver platter. 3, I'm an orphan. I've survived on scholarships and state aid my whole life. From a young age, I knew that with a starting hand this bad, academics were my only way out. But in a small Rust Belt town like this, opportunities are limited, resources are limited, everything is limited. A parentless kid could probably get by, but a parentless kid who was too smart? That was asking for trouble. The first time I got beaten up was the day my middle school entrance exam scores were posted. I was ranked first in the entire county. Before the honor roll assembly, I was cornered in the men's restroom. Well, look at the genius. Feeling proud of yourself? We were all barely out of elementary school, but Kyle already had a cigarette dangling from his lips, a gang of his cronies flanking him. How's it feel to steal my spotlight? He was talking about the assembly. I'd heard his dad had bought him the test answers beforehand, but Kyle, overconfident, skipped the final bonus question in math and only got second place. He believed he was the one who was supposed to be on that stage. I didn't say anything, just watched him warily. My silence seemed to enrage him. I can't stand that smug look on your face. What are you looking at? You got no mom to teach you manners. I was waiting for him to get closer. When he was in range, I didn't hesitate. I threw a punch straight into his face. Kyle clutched his bleeding nose, his face twisting in fury. Get him! Fists and batons rained down on me, brutal and relentless. I fought back like a cornered animal, but it was no use. They held me down, shoving my head into a urinal. Kyle yanked my hair, forcing me to look up. You gonna score first next time? Huh? Answer me. No, I won't. I forced the words out through gritted teeth, my dignity shattered. I knew fighting back would only make it worse. I had to endure, but that wasn't enough for him. He took his cigarette and burned me in places no one would see. My stomach, my back, the inside of my thighs. You're a genius, right? Here, let me add some local color for you. Freaks like you, with no parents, you should just die. The smell of burning flesh filled the air. The pain made my vision go dark, but I clenched my jaw and didn't make a sound. That only made Kyle angrier. You know what I hate most? That I don't give a damn look on your face. Who are you trying to impress, huh? Who the hell are you trying to be cool for? Finally, they tossed me aside like a piece of trash. I'm not the kind of person who gets bullied and stays silent. I dragged myself up and went to the vice principal. He listened, then waved his hand dismissively, pointing to a new building under construction nearby. You see that? Kyle's dad paid for that. Without him, do you think kids like you would have such a nice environment to learn in? Besides, there are hundreds of kids in this school. Why do they pick on you? Are you telling me you're completely blameless? That's enough. Go on. The assembly is starting. You don't want to be late and miss out on your financial aid. And in that moment, I understood. For the next 3, maybe even 6 years, I would be living under Kyle Thompson's shadow. For at the awards assembly, I was filthy and smelled awful. No matter how much I tried to act mature, at the end of the day, I was just a kid who'd been beaten senseless. I looked pathetic like a stray dog pulled from a gutter. Looking at Kyle's triumphant face in the audience, I couldn't get a single complete sentence out. That brief hesitation was all it took for the teachers and parents to form their consensus. So what if he's smart? Just a bookworm. He won't amount to much. No one to raise him right. He'll never be presentable. Exactly. Middle school is the real test anyway. Get him off the stage. I don't want my kids learning from him and turning into some socially awkward robot. I fought back tears and rushed off the stage. Behind me, a clear voice called out. It was Hannah Miller. Her eyes, wide with surprise, were fixed on the bloodstains showing through my shirt. Caleb, what happened? Should I take you to the nurse? 5, that's why I liked Hannah, even though I knew she was playing a part. In high school, I studied even harder. Get out of here. Get out of here. At any cost, get out of here. I told myself this constantly. Only by getting into the best university could I escape this town. Until then, all I had to do was lay low. I carefully controlled my grades, keeping myself in the top 10 to secure a scholarship, but never getting high enough to get too close to Kyle's rank. Until one day, an exception occurred. During gym class, Hannah, blushing like a vibrant flower, handed Kyle a bottle of water by the basketball court. The air instantly exploded with laughter and whistles. That single moment was a snapshot of our entire youth. The frantic pounding in my chest nearly drowned out the noise. It was the sound of my own unbearable jealousy. That afternoon, during a standardized test, I couldn't stop myself. I answered every single question. On that month's exam, I got a near-perfect score, beating Kyle by almost 100 points. It made the teachers and Kyle realize that my consistently stable top 10 ranking was the result of some terrifying level of control. Kyle felt betrayed. After the inevitable beating, he held me by my hair. "Caleb, what would it take to completely destroy you?" Nothing, I thought. Touching my cracked ribs, I swore to myself, "You can never truly destroy me." I still said nothing. But the first thing I did after I recovered was immediately drop my rank back down to 10th. No matter how hard the tests were, no matter who was in the top 9, in every exam from then on, I was like a nail hammered firmly into the 10th spot. Kyle began to see this as a provocation, and it drove him nuts. When he saw that beating me, cursing me, and humiliating me had no effect, his pathetic brain came up with a brilliant new plan. If academics couldn't break me, he'd use something else to ruin me. He started dropping hints, relentlessly promoting a popular competitive online game. "Nerd, what can you do besides study? If you're a man, come and fight. Don't tell me you're too scared to even play a game," he taunted. He even generously gave me one of his old, discarded accounts. I saw right through his clumsy performance, but I didn't refuse, because I desperately needed money. I'd heard that if you were good at this game, you could win prize money in official tournaments. For me, every dollar was a stepping stone to my future. The result left Kyle completely dumbfounded. He thought I would get addicted, that I would fall from grace and let my study slide. But how could I, for someone like me, who wanted to use even the time I spent breathing to solve problems, how could I possibly let myself get lost in a game? I treated the game like another exam hall. I studied tactics, calculated damage outputs, and practiced my mechanics. My efficiency was terrifying. In just 2 months, using that old account Kyle gave me, I climbed to the #1 spot on the regional server. The ID Dawn became a legend. What he expected even less was that I would enter the Aegis Proving Grounds tournament. Not only did I effortlessly defeat the team Kyle had painstakingly assembled, but I also went on a winning streak against a host of other top players. Even though the final results weren't out, several professional esports clubs had already reached out to me because of my performance. Everyone knew what that meant. The annual salary of a pro gamer was enough to make these small-town high school kids go wild. Holy crap, you can make a career out of playing games? I knew it. That number 10 rank was always suspicious. You think he was controlling his score on purpose? Didn't Kyle always brag about being a gaming god? Caleb took a junk account and ranked way higher than him. The way my classmates looked at me changed completely, from pity and indifference to curiosity and admiration. And Kyle, watching his brilliant scheme become the very thing that pushed me to a new peak, he was practically insane with jealousy. How could he possibly let it go? 6th day, I won the regional championship. The thunderous applause nearly swallowed me whole. I was thrilled, but also completely overwhelmed. And in that moment, Hannah Miller pushed through the crowd and walked straight toward me. Her eyes sparkled. Her expression was bold and bright. "Caleb, I like you. Will you be my boyfriend?" Beneath the roar of the crowd, she held out a bouquet of flowers. They were a bit lopsided, but in her hands, they seemed vibrant and full of life. A clear, cold part of my mind knew she couldn't possibly like me, that she was doing this for Kyle. This was a honeyed trap, just waiting for me to step in. But it was also a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, to be confessed to by the girl I had a crush on in a moment of public triumph. For a loser like me, it was a rare, beautiful scene in an otherwise bleak life. I had to grab it, no matter the consequences. 7, I started dating Hannah. We were like any other high school couple. We walked together, studied together in the library, and ate at the diner across from the school. It seemed like we had a good thing going. As long as I intentionally ignored her distractedness and the occasional flicker of disdain in her eyes. I put up with all her bad moods, treating her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Because I knew she was only mine for a short time, just until Kyle got bored of his revenge game and called her back to his side. At the same time, I pretended to dive even deeper into gaming. To overcome the quiet frustration Hannah brought me, the only release was to go online and rack up a few more kills. It continued until Hannah tracked me down at the gaming cafe and, for the first time, truly lost her temper with me. "Caleb, I don't like guys who play video games. Can you just stop, for God's sake?" I caught the edge in her voice. Hannah never swore in public. I immediately quit the match. "I'll stop," I said. My teammate next to me was about to yell, but when he saw I'd already taken off my headset, he got the message. Hannah, noticing the stares from people around us, softened her tone slightly. "We have less than a year until college applications are due. Have you completely given up on your grades?" She was right. Since I'd started gaming, my schoolwork had supposedly gone down the drain. From the moment I realized esports could be my ticket out of this town, I had seemingly abandoned the academic path I had guarded for so long. Right now, she looked like a righteous girlfriend trying to pull her boyfriend back from the brink, radiating a halo of virtue. "Stop playing games. Study with me, okay? Please don't sign with that esports club. I'm begging you. I really hope we can go to the same college." I paused. It clicked. Hannah had seen the professional contract I had tucked inside one of my books. $300,000. That was more than all the teachers in our grade made in a year combined. Looking at her pouting lips, a huge wave of relief washed over me. I couldn't help but smile. So this was what Kyle wanted her to do. I grinned playfully and pointed to my cheek. "Give me a kiss, and I'll promise you." Amid the catcalls from my teammates, Hannah's face turned beet red. As if making some great resolution, she leaned in and gave me a quick peck. The cheering grew louder. "One more. One more." Seeing the look on her face, I knew she was about to break character. I immediately packed my bag and stood up. All right, knock it off. Can't you see my girlfriend's shy? Cut it out." I grabbed Hannah's hand. "Don't call me for games anymore, guys. From now on, your boy is hitting the books." "Seriously, Caleb, have you seen your grades lately? You haven't cracked a book since we started high school. Your last report card was at the bottom of the class." "Yeah, man, are you kidding me?" They were right. Since I discovered gaming in my freshman year, I had supposedly thrown myself into it completely. In everyone else's eyes, I had barely scraped by to get into high school, and my grades had been in free fall ever since. Even the teachers had given up on me. For a poor kid with no prospects, getting addicted to games was a logical, expected outcome. In fact, at this point, esports seemed like a much better path for me than school. But I ignored them, just giving Hannah a gentle smile. "I'm really going to study hard for my girlfriend." Hannah tilted her chin up, and for a split second, I thought I saw a flicker of genuine emotion in her eyes. And so, as part of Kyle's design, I had gotten lost in gaming and thrown away my future. Now, for Hannah's sake, I was giving up esports. Just as they wanted, the legend of Dawn never lit up the gaming world again. Kyle, on the other hand, could never accept that I, with worse resources and equipment, could be so much better than him. He started dedicating all his time to esports, dreaming that one day he would be the one hailed as a genius gamer. That kind of fame and fortune was so much easier than studying, after all. Now I began to study with Hannah. On one condition. I told Hannah that for this last year, there could be no one else around her but me. Before, I never would have dared to make such a demand. I knew she didn't like me, and if I pushed her too far, she would leave without a second thought. But now that I knew her and Kyle's objective, how could I not use it as leverage? On the day of the tournament qualifiers, Hannah spent the entire day with me at a coffee shop near the school. I had just finished catching up on all the coursework I'd missed. It was dense, but thankfully my middle school foundation was solid, so self-studying wasn't impossible. I took out a copy of a past SAT exam and started working through it. When I finished, I mentally tallied my score. Around 1,450. Not good enough. Far from it. Aside from the material I'd missed, the subpar education in this town was a huge barrier between me and a top university. The solution to the final, most difficult math problem wasn't even in the school's official answer key. I felt a pang of frustration. That's when Hannah spoke up. She seemed to feel a bit guilty. "Are you really going to give up on the qualifiers just like that?" She had seen the contract. She knew that winning this tournament was a prerequisite for me to go pro. I put down my pen and gently ruffled her hair. I promised you, didn't I? No more games until after exams. Her eyes shone. Caleb, you have to believe me. I'm really doing this for your own good. I wasn't sure if she was trying to convince me or herself. I was about to say something when her phone rang. I glanced over and saw the caller ID. Kyle. She immediately cut me off. I've got to take this outside. When Hannah came back in, she was beaming. The sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow on her face. I knew then that Kyle's meticulously assembled team must have done well in the qualifiers. I deliberately asked her what she was so happy about. She hesitated for a moment before saying, "My dad said he managed to get the solution for that final math problem. After the next monthly test results come out, I'll show it to you." Ide Furwuten. Hannah's father was on the school board. I felt a surge of elation. So that was it. The final obstacle between me and a perfect score, and Hannah was the bridge. The only reason she was willing to share it was because she was convinced that with my current grades, I wouldn't be able to understand it anyway. And the real SAT wouldn't have the exact same question. The little fool. When she stepped out to take the call, she'd forgotten to log out of her Messenger app on her tablet. The chat history with Kyle was crystal clear. Kyle, don't let Caleb touch esports again. Hannah, I know. I'm tricking him into studying. Kyle, and don't let him actually improve his grades. Hannah, don't worry. His mind is shot. You can't just cram 3 years of high school in a few months. Kyle was completely reassured. Kyle, I love you. Hannah, me too. Recalling the words I had just seen, I leaned into my role even more. Hannah, thank you. I'll study hard for you. I love you. She didn't speak, but awkwardly wrapped her arms around my neck and gave me a clumsy, inexperienced kiss. Caleb, she whispered, I really am doing this for your own good. Till my relationship with Hannah grew more stable. Kyle, lost in his esports world, had stopped coming to school much. I no longer had to worry about getting jumped after class, and my studies weren't interrupted by sudden trips to the hospital. My daily routine became simple. Study, solve problems, eat, sleep, and spend time with Hannah. It was the most peaceful period of my life. Because of this regular schedule, I grew stronger and more muscular. And even though my grades on paper were still poor, I had become one of the acknowledged handsome guys at school. I even got a few love letters from girls in the younger grades. I turned them all down. By the time Kyle finally looked up from his screen, Hannah and I had become the school's golden couple. He started feeling threatened. A strange possessiveness led him to take a half day off just to come to school and see Hannah. I saw him lead her into the old, abandoned nurse's office. I stared at their retreating backs, said nothing, and turned away. A short while later, the account Dawn came online again, rocketing into the top 100 rankings in a single afternoon. Hannah found me in a panic. Caleb, you promised you wouldn't play anymore. I took off my headset and met her eyes. I saw Kyle at school this afternoon. Hannah froze, biting her swollen lips. Caleb, believe me, nothing happened between us. I turned back to the screen and continued playing. A thick stack of love letters sat next to my keyboard. Let's break up, I said. I'm thinking of accepting one of the freshmen's confessions. Hannah stared at the letters. The girl who had always been so pampered and demanding in front of me had tears welling up in her eyes for the first time. Her voice was pleading. Don't, Caleb. I don't want to break up with you. 11, I didn't give in. After completely demolishing Kyle's team in-game, I went home satisfied. The hallway light was out. I took out my key to open the door. A familiar voice called from behind me. Caleb. It was Hannah. I was surprised. How long have you been waiting here? I've been here ever since I left the cafe, she said, her voice choked with tears. The apartment complex I lived in was run down. For a girl like her to wait for me in the dark for hours. I sighed. You should go home. But her small, pale hand blocked the door. It's dark out. I am scared. Can I come in for a bit? Inside, Hannah looked around my place, genuinely impressed. Caleb, your apartment is so clean. She pulled open a drawer and saw all the academic awards I had won since I was a child. You've won so many awards? Then, as if remembering something, she said, Caleb, please study hard. Get into a good college. Let's leave this town together, okay? I was angry this afternoon because I really don't want to see gaming ruin your life. I turned around. The headlights of passing cars swept across her face, illuminating a fleeting moment of sincerity but also catching the distinct shape of a hickey Kyle had left behind her ear. I lay down on my bed and pulled the covers over my head. You should go. I'm going to sleep. My chest heaved. I just wanted this whole ridiculous game to end. But she hugged me from behind, her voice muffled. I'll keep my distance from other guys. When I didn't respond, she took my hand and guided it under her shirt. Her voice was seductive. As long as you promise to never touch that game again. For a split second, as my hand made contact, my mind exploded with fireworks. Oh my God. But I snatched my hand back immediately. I sat up, grabbed a history textbook from my nightstand, and started reciting. For 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation. Hannah climbed up behind me. Caleb, you have a nosebleed. Seeing me fumble for a tissue, she covered her mouth, trying to stifle a giggle. Are you sure you don't want to try? She whispered. A million tiny voices in my head screamed in unison. Yes, yes, I do. But what came out of my mouth was conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Hannah dissolved into laughter. Caleb, has anyone ever told you that you're actually kind of adorable when you're being an idiot? Later, I would often think back to that day. And every time I did, I would recite the Gettysburg Address to calm myself down. By the end, I had all my high school history and English literature textbooks memorized. I knew I liked Hannah Miller. She was part of a toxic game, but I still liked her. Till we got back together. And true to her word, Hannah started actively avoiding other guys, including her childhood friend, Kyle. And I completely gave up gaming, throwing myself into studying for the SATs, though my official report card never showed any improvement. Kyle, however, finally snapped. He cornered me in the bathroom again with his goons. Stay away from Hannah, he snarled. But I wasn't the same scrawny kid from 6 years ago. I caught the pipe he swung at me, twisted, and threw 2 of his friends to the ground. Picking up the steel pipe, I smiled at Kyle. You want me to stay away from my girlfriend? I put extra emphasis on the words my girlfriend. Kyle's face went pale with rage. Then what should I get closer to? The game. I continued. Kyle, how does it feel to be my loser? Just a few days earlier, I had gone on another rampage in the game. Kyle's carefully constructed team, his intricate strategies, they were all a joke in the face of pure talent. It was a critical time for the pro team qualifiers, and Kyle had barely managed to scrape by, thanks to his teammates carrying him. If just one more person had ranked above him, all his hard work would have been for nothing. He didn't dare risk it. Hannah or his gaming rank. He could only choose one. For the first time in a long time, Kyle Thompson had me cornered in the bathroom and didn't lay a hand on me. His face was a mask of pure hatred, mixed with the malicious promise of a future, fatal blow. I felt a rush of exhilaration I had never known. I looked at Hannah, who had just managed to squeeze through the crowd at the door. Babe, I said, let's go home. 13 after our last final, Hannah asked me how I thought I did. It was early June, the most beautiful time of year in our town. Flowers were falling from the trees like snow. I didn't answer. I just reached out and brushed a petal from her hair. Then I leaned in and gently kissed her on the forehead. It was the first time I had ever initiated a kiss. Hannah blushed, her eyes soft and full of affection. I love you, she whispered. Let's break up. The unexpected words left her completely stunned. Why, she asked. I looked at her. For the past few months, for whatever reason, thank you for being by my side. The thoughtful look on her face told me she understood the meaning behind my words. With that, I turned and walked away. Yes, I was the one who broke up with Hannah the day our exams ended. There was no way I was going to wait around for her to do it. So from the very beginning, I knew it was Kyle who had secretly used her phone to send me those texts. 14 today was the day college decisions were released. Usually, everyone just checked online at home. But this year, the vice principal decided to schedule our graduation photo for the same day. I knew exactly why. The latest round of esports qualifiers had just ended. Kyle's pro gaming dream was about to become a reality or not. For a moment this dramatic, he needed a stage and an audience. He had even hired a professional crew to live stream the event, waiting for the announcement that would mark his long-awaited moment of glory. What made him even happier was the thought that from this day forward, his old rival, me, would be crushed under his heel. At the center of the crowd, Kyle, his hair slicked back, was talking animatedly to the camera, surrounded by a circle of admiring classmates and curious onlookers. "That's right, guys, I'm signed," he announced, waving a letter of intent with a team logo on it. "Team Vortex's Academy program. I'll be heading there in the fall." His expression turned sincere. Going pro has always been my dream, and today it finally came true. The Twitch chat was flying. "Holy crap, Kyle is a beast. He's really going pro. So awesome. No more suffering through school." School is important too, you know? Not everyone is cut out for gaming. Why you gotta be so salty? He has the talent and the opportunity. How much money can you make with a degree anyway? Exactly. Esports is a legit career. Ignore the haters. Streamer. Everyone saw the argument in the chat, but Kyle didn't stop it. This was exactly what he wanted, to be the center of attention. Just then, his eyes landed on me, standing quietly at the edge of the crowd. He immediately swaggered over a wide, undisguised grin on his face, the look of someone waiting to watch you crash and burn. He casually slung an arm around my shoulder as the camera swung to follow him. "Well, if it isn't our school's former top student," he said, raising his voice so everyone, online and off, could hear. Someone in the chat immediately commented, "I heard the SATs were tough this year. Hey, genius, did you estimate your score?" "Yeah, I'm dying to know. My kid needs a reference point." "Wait, why former top student?" Seeing that last comment, Kyle's smile widened. Someone else in the chat recognized me. "Hey, isn't that Caleb? The guy they called a gaming prodigy at the Aegis Proving Grounds last year?" A flash of annoyance crossed Kyle's face, but he quickly covered it with a look of pity. But our friend Caleb here, whether it's school or gaming, he's a jack of all trades, master of none. He gave up school for gaming, then gave up gaming for a girl." Kyle paused for dramatic effect. "Caleb, I heard your girlfriend dumped you, man." "Hey, don't feel bad," he said, his fake sympathy making my stomach turn. "Results are out today, right? Don't worry, community college is a solid choice. Get out into the workforce early, gain some experience. Not like me, lucky enough to go pro. I get to skip all that." He waved the contract in his hand, nearly smacking me in the chest with it. "How about it? Wanted to ask if my club needs someone to sweep the floors or restock the vending machines. Room and board included." A few of his cronies snickered on cue. The chat immediately took the bait. Ouch, that's just brutal. A classic case of trying to do everything and failing at all of it. "I heard his girlfriend is the school's it girl. Guess he fell hard." "Well, she's also a top student, probably going in Ivy. Dumping him makes sense." Before I could say a word, a figure darted out from the side and shoved Kyle's arm off my shoulder. It was Hannah, the it girl, the presumed valedictorian, my ex-girlfriend. Her cheeks were flushed with anger. "Kyle, shut your mouth. That's not what happened at all." Hannah's sudden outburst shocked Kyle. His jealousy flared, and he turned to yell at me. "What did I say that was wrong? Are you going to deny that you two broke up?" I simply nodded. "Yes, we broke up." Whispers rippled through the surrounding students. They were from different worlds anyway, even if they looked good together. I kind of feel bad for Caleb. In the end, he has nothing. Yeah, it just goes to show, you can't escape your lot in life. It's hard for a normal person to make it. Hannah looked like she was about to explode. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Finally, her voice shaking with tears, she shouted, "Yes, Caleb, and I broke up. But he was the one who dumped me. He dumped me. Do you hear me?" She walked over to my side, her eyes pleading with me. "Caleb, I really don't want to break up with you." Kyle was livid. Forgetting the live stream, he grabbed her arm. "Hannah, do you hear yourself? Caleb is an orphan who's going to community college at best, and you want to stay with him?" She looked up at Kyle, and though her voice trembled, it was firm. "Yes, I love him. And even if he only gets into community college this year, I'm willing to wait for him." The entire crowd went silent. Then the chat exploded. WTF? Information overload. The girl got dumped? No way. Absolutely impossible. Who is this guy? She's literally begging for him back. Has to be scripted. This is too fake. LMAO, Kyle's face is priceless. The viewer count just skyrocketed. The producer deserves a bonus. Kyle, stunned by this complete reversal, was about to say something when someone in the crowd shouted, "The college decisions are out." 15, everyone instinctively pulled out their phones. Soon, cries of joy and despair filled the air. Oh my God, I got a 1550. Mom, I'm going to a great school. No, I bombed it. I guess I'm taking a gap year. Hannah checked her results too. Noticing I was watching, she quickly locked her phone without saying a word. But her father, who was on the school board, suddenly rushed over, beaming. Hannah, what did you get? Hannah mumbled, refusing to answer. Her father, impatient, announced loudly. I heard this year's state valedictorian is from our county. Tell me, what was your score? A collective gasp went through the crowd. In our under-resourced town, producing a state valedictorian was like a miracle. Kyle's face darkened. He had paid a fortune for this live stream, and now it was turning into Hannah's coronation. A 1520, Hannah finally said, reading her father's expression. She was surprised herself. It was higher than she'd expected, but nowhere near valedictorian level. Just then, the vice principal arrived. Had the news been wrong? The vice principal met her father's equally confused gaze. It was Hannah's father who spoke first, addressing the students. Is there anyone who hasn't checked their results yet? Eva checked. We all did. In the end, everyone realized that the only two people who didn't know their results were me and Kyle. People remembered that Kyle was also a senior, and before he got into esports, he had consistently been one of the top students. My own recent performance, on the other hand, had been witnessed by everyone. Naturally, all eyes turned to Kyle. Kyle himself was confused. He had taken the exams, sure, but only to get his diploma and appease his parents. He'd never cared about the score. Thinking back, he remembered just guessing on most of the questions he didn't understand. Could it be? Was he the chosen one? A delirious joy began to build inside him. Could he have guessed all the answers correctly? The vice principal, his voice dry with anxiety, urged, Kyle, Caleb, you're the only two left. Hurry up, will you? Hannah spoke up then. Seeing me hesitate, she tried to comfort me. Caleb, don't be scared. Even if you don't want to retake the year, a good trade school is a great option. We don't have to break up. I won't look down on you. Her father shot her a look that could kill, his blood pressure visibly rising. Damn it, Kyle muttered, already eagerly logging into the results portal. The loading icon spun, stretching the tension. When it finally stopped, Kyle saw his score. 850. He tried to hide his phone, but the screen had already been broadcast to the world. I guess miracles don't happen after all. That's a creative score. So this is the academic level of a pro gamer. Hey, watch it. Test scores have nothing to do with gaming skill. So the question remains, who is the valedictorian? This is like a mystery novel. The livestream crew wasn't about to let a hot topic go. All the cameras swiveled and focused on my phone screen. Caleb, what are you dawdling for? Get on with it. The vice principal, his hopes dashed twice, had lost all patience. All right, I said with a smile. I finally pulled my phone out of my pocket. 16, Caleb, don't be too sad. You may be poor and pathetic, but at least your grades suck too. The thought of me suffering the same public humiliation made Kyle burst out laughing. After all, he still had his pro gamer status to fall back on. I had nothing. But in the next second, his laughter froze on his face. The screen lit up. A simple notification displayed clearly. State Board of Education, Caleb Hayes, student ID, SAT score, 1600. Final GPA, 4.0. State rank, 1. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Impossible. How is that possible? Kyle snatched my phone. This is fake. It's a fake website. A fake score. His voice was bordering on hysterical. The internet went wild. The chat froze for a second, then scrolled at an explosive speed. 1,600? Rank 1. Who was just calling him a community college kid? Am I blind? This is the slacker? How's that foot taste, haters? Bow down to the valedictorian. LMAO, the live-action face swap, is incredible. In the midst of this chaos and stunning reversal, a glowing ID with a special effect floated to the top of the chat, catching everyone's attention. Rick SYNX. Congratulations to SYNX Gaming's newest player, Caleb Hayes, on his academic achievement. Smirk emoji. Post a pic of your Yale acceptance letter when it arrives. Your gear is waiting for you at the SYNX compound. See you on the field. The chat paused again, then erupted. Is that the Rick from SYNX? Cynics. The valedictorian and the pro gamer are the same person. What kind of power fantasy protagonist is this guy? So at IS possible to do both. What'd I just say? I am so sorry, my lord. Rick slowly typed another message, as if just remembering a minor detail. Oh, by the way, we just acquired Team Vortex. He works for you now. He then dropped 10 gift subscriptions in the chat and logged off. The camera whipped back to Kyle. The color had drained completely from his face, his eyes wide with terror and disbelief. This real-life drama had everything: reversals, public humiliation, a revenge plot, and a love triangle. As more viewers flooded the stream, the commentary continued to pour in. A single line of text dominated the screen. Kyle, stop crying and get on your knees. It's time to call him Dad. 17, the stream ended, but the discussion online had just begun. At first, it was just people reveling in the public takedown. But soon the tone shifted. An anonymous user, unable to hold back, posted on a popular forum. I'm in their class, so let me say a few things. Kyle's family has money, and he's always hated Caleb, thinking he stole his spotlight. It started with regular bullying. What he saw that couldn't break Caleb, he deliberately introduced him to gaming. But Caleb is a genius. Not only did his grades stay good, in secret, but he was insane at the game. He almost got signed by a pro team last year. Why do you think Kyle suddenly got so obsessed with going pro? It was jealousy. He stole the idea from Caleb. As for why Caleb stopped playing, everyone at school knows it was for his girlfriend. But we all think there was something shady about that too. Wasn't that girlfriend originally with Kyle? It was probably a honey trap scheme. The post ended there. The comments section exploded. Whoa, bullying plus a honey trap? This is some Game of Thrones level high school drama. I feel so bad for Caleb. So that's why his grades slip. Is Kyle sick in the head? He just can't stand seeing someone else succeed. Who's the girl? Aiding and abetting is a crime. Hold on, this is one anonymous post. Where's the proof? This could all be made up. Yeah, let's see some evidence. I have been following the fallout closely, but I hadn't expected this anonymous post. People were starting to contact me for interviews, all of which I refused. Just as the narrative was about to devolve into a he said, she said mess, with people crying out against online witch hunts and demanding proof, I did something. I registered an official, verified account under my own name. And for the first time, I spoke out. There is proof. I am the proof. 18, I went to a doctor for a full examination. With the medical report and my past hospital records, I filed a lawsuit against Kyle Thompson. While waiting for the case to go to trial, Hannah contacted me nonstop. I didn't have time to deal with her. I am the proof. Valedictorian fights back. Kyle Thompson, see you in court. The hashtags went viral. All the previous voices of doubt were drowned in a sea of public outrage. Oh my God, I'm crying. He's had to fight so hard for every step. Cracked ribs. That bastard Kyle was trying to kill him. And a psychological evaluation. How did he get through all these years? This is a true success story. Sue him. Put him in jail. Yale. He deserves it. He earned it. Faced with an ironclad chain of evidence and overwhelming public pressure, the case moved quickly. Assault proven beyond a doubt, and because it happened on school grounds, the social impact was deemed severe. Kyle Thompson was sentenced to 3.5 years in juvenile detention. He cried and repented in court. It was a good performance, but no one was buying it. Outside the courthouse, I looked up at the summer sun. It was so bright, so dazzling. Reporters surrounded me. What are you feeling right now? Do you feel like you've gotten your revenge? I looked at the cameras and shook my head. I just followed the proper procedures and got the just result. Do you have anything else you want to say about this incident? I was quiet for a moment. Kyle has received his punishment, but the online rumors about him using a honey trap against me. I paused. Those are completely fabricated. My ex-girlfriend and I broke up amicably. Maybe the sun was too bright, but for a second, I thought I saw Hannah in the back of the crowd, tears streaming down her face. As I turned to leave without a second thought, the sunlight fell perfectly on my shoulders. 19 compared to the assembly when I was 12, the awards ceremony at 18 was a much more solemn affair. The case had a ripple effect. Kyle's father was investigated and found guilty of bribery and corruption. His assets were seized, and he was facing a long prison sentence. The vice principal was suspended for misconduct. I stood on the stage in my best suit, taller and more confident than I had ever felt. I knew that the nightmare from 6 years ago had finally been rewritten by my own hand. The speech went well. I ended with a quote I'd adapted from something I once read. If you find yourself in the deepest valley, please, you must believe this. The only person in this world who can save you is you. You have to be the one, again and again, 1,000 times over, without hesitation, to pull yourself from the fire. In that moment, all the dark memories flashed before my eyes. The bullying, the contempt, the betrayal, but I had survived it all. 20 outside the school, a car from SYNX was waiting for me. As I opened the door, a familiar voice called my name. Caleb. Hannah had lost weight. She looked tired, but her face had a new, quiet strength. She was still heartbreakingly beautiful. She forced a painful smile. I listened to your speech. It was amazing. Congratulations. I paused, only able to manage a thanks. She must have thought I was deliberately keeping my distance. Her voice was laced with bitterness. Caleb, I'm not here to ask you to take me back. I don't have the right. I just wanted to formally apologize. She said the words as if she had practiced them 1,000 times. They were spoken softly, but they landed with the weight of 1,000 pounds on the time we could never get back. You have every right to hate me, but I felt I had to say I'm sorry to your face. Under the setting sun, our shadows overlapped slightly, just like the countless times she had leaned her head on my shoulder when we were tired from studying. I looked her in the eye. I don't hate you, but I don't think I can forgive you either. Hannah broke down, sobbing. As I turned to get in the car, she called out one last time. Caleb, believe me, I really am trying to make things right. I didn't turn back, just waved a hand. I know everything. 21 when we first started dating, Hannah moved her desk to the back of the class to sit with me. I loved the way she looked when she'd get huffy and tell me to study, so I would deliberately tease her, scribbling nonsense on my papers and talking to the guy in front of me about Naruto. Yeah, they're all members of that evil organization, the Akatsuki. Hannah, who had been poking me with her pen, frowned when she heard that. What's that show? Akatsuki is such a beautiful word. Why would they make it evil? Her loud protest caught the teacher's attention, and for the first time, he got angry at her. Hannah Miller, college applications are just around the corner. What on earth are you doing? My office after class. It was the first time she'd ever been yelled at. I was afraid she was going to cry. Don't worry, I whispered. I'll buy you a smoothie after class. But she just rolled her eyes, sat back down, and muttered, You're not allowed to watch Naruto anymore. Why not? Seeing the teacher was busy at the board, she hid her face behind a book. You can't say Akatsuki is bad. You can't betray them. I was still confused, so she pinched my arm. Do you even know what Akatsuki means in Japanese? It means dawn. She looked at me seriously. And Caleb means faithful, and Hannah means grace. If we had a couple name, it would be Faithful Dawn. 22 that day, I had stayed at the gaming cafe, obsessively refreshing the forums, reading the comments after the live stream. An anonymous ID had suddenly caught my eye. It was the one that had posted the expose, the one that blew the whole thing open. And the username was Faithful Dawn. The breaking of a new day after a long night. A new beginning.